I have got a nice motorcycle and I'm grateful for that every day, but I'm not always flush for money. Sometimes the money is just not there at all. I cannot always take a week off anytime I feel like it, and there have been a lot of times in my life where even one day off sick would have screwed us up financially. If one got ill, one just had to keep calm and carry on. That's being self-employed for you, having young kids and a mortgage, etc. It's definitely a bit easier now that we are older, but we are still like most people and got to bust our balls to keep living. However, I can usually find the money for gas, and if I have money for gas, I can get out. If I have food in the cupboard, I can throw it in a bag and head off. Never underestimate the difference one night can make, especially after a tough week. It's all too easy to have a hard week and get in on a Friday night and go into that mode of feet up, crack a beer, TV on, drink yourself to sleep. Obviously there are times when it's fine to do that and even needed, but it can become a dirty habit. There's no way I'm working that hard 5 days straight to let the 2 days I have off slip by me that easily. Hence, often on a Thursday night, I'd get a few things thrown into a bag, strap it to the motorcycle, ready for a quick escape on Friday after my day's work was done. Wild camping is illegal in the UK. I never knew that when I was 10 years old. If I had, well, it would have just made it even better, wouldn't it? My friends and I wild camped a lot from the age of 11 up. We never knew it was even called wild camping, we just called it a sleep out. I think wild camping is a new term younger generations have given it to make it seem a little more dangerous than wild. The same way everything now has to sound dangerous, the word adventure or extreme has to be in everything. Adventure hiking, adventure riding, extreme adventure, wild water swimming, extreme ping pong. I'm just waiting for adventure knitting, for Christ's sake. And like adventure motorcycle, Jesus, you can have an adventure on any motorcycle. I still hook up with my friend Stan to go on sleep outs. Stan is my best mate from school, and we still sleep out under the stars once in a while. We have never got to grips with this wild camping is illegal thing. I for one never pay it no mind. It's only when people remind me of it I even think about the fact that it is. I was pondering on this today. I've only ever actually been moved on once in 40 years. And that's all that's ever going to happen if you're busted. But most of the places I go, I am not ever going to see a policeman strolling by at 4 AM. When we was 11 years old, it was much harder. We didn't have motorcycles, so we were limited to towns or the village I lived in. Crazy looking back. We slept on park trains, we slept in hay barns, we slept in a tractor. One of the worst and yet most memorable was in the basement of a dirty council flat in Southend. We hid under the stairs with the needles, empty vodka bottles and dried puke. Heard people coming up and down all night long, staggering up the tiled stairs. However, the greatest sleep outs we ever did were the nights we used to break into the school and crash in there. It had no alarm, no security cameras, hard to imagine now. We'd get in through the fire doors. We'd have a torch and make our way through the dark empty corridors. It was scary the first few times. I guess it was the silence. The school we knew was normally a madhouse. Once we got over that fear of the silence, it was so much fun. We would sleep in the gym, get all the apparatus out and swing about and then crash on the mats at the end. We also drank the headmaster's vintage wine collection. That was on the very last visit. I guess we went too far. He was so mad they got the police involved. There was a whole school assembly and the deputy head, who was 6'4", built like a brick shithouse, screamed at the whole school as he clutched the Bible stand so hard he snapped it in two. He screamed so loud it scared the hell out of everyone. God blow the sands, when I find the scum that did this. They will feel the wrath and terror of my cane, he bellowed. He obviously had not seen we'd already broke that wicked bamboo cane into 4 pathetic pieces, as payback for the lashes we'd all taken over the last couple of years. As he screamed his rant, there were 2 stern-faced policemen stood next to him, ready to give their speech on crime and the dark road to prison life, etc. In the big school hall, a few people in front of us turned to look at me and Stan. We had obviously bragged about doing the wine and the break-in. We had to turn and look at the people behind us in disgust to take away suspicion from ourselves, and then in turn those pupils turned and looked at those behind them. The last break-in, which we called the Great Vintage Wine Heist of '83, was so huge it made the local rag. Headline read, "Bottled up. Thieves broke into Park School and stole the wine, blah blah blah." But man, they could never catch us. So we slept under beach huts, under the pier, even in a red phone box, because there was thunder and lightning that particular night. The 3 of us that night stood up in the phone box, leaning on each other. I can tell you though truthfully, it was a bloody great night. But wait, I'm losing my story. I'm here to talk about motorcycles, right? And specifically, the art of motorcycle escape with no money in the pocket. Now I am older, it's all about finding the perfect spot. No matter where I am, I'm always looking for a spot to camp. If I'm in a car, a motorcycle or walking, I can't help myself. I see a little path leading into a woods and I'm like, I gotta go look see. If I find something good, I pin drop it on maps on my phone and mark it as a good camp spot. It's easy with a motorcycle to get out of town. I mean, if you wild camp in town, they'll think you're homeless. Homeless folks have a tough time. Towns at night are not safe to sleep in. Far too many wild animals in town. Find a forest or out in the fields. By a riverside, there's something about the water like a magnet to man. That's why a beach is always peach. Sometimes we need to sleep under the moon and stars. You may not even know you need it, but we are made to be outside. We are definitely not snails. Everything just changes when you get away from town, away from people, away from the race, the monotony of town life. The robots doing what robots are programmed to do. Same faces, same walls, same jokes, same fools. Get out of town. Ride off someplace, watch the sun fall out of the blue as the world turns and the stars magically appear, and keep multiplying as the universe unfolds right before your very eyes. Sit around a fire and put the world to right, or tell those old stories one more time. A simple cook-up. Wrap a few potatoes in foil and throw them in the embers. Do you know how good a potato tastes cooked in the embers? Even with just a bit of butter. Out under the stars, that turns into some gourmet shit. May as well be in the Ritz, it tastes so good. You can get a bit of cheese on that and you're suddenly fine dining. A potato is not expensive, but that turns into a great meal once you're outside. I don't even know how that works. I eat a potato at home for my main meal and I'd feel like I just hit hard times. I'm so much more easily pleased when I'm out in the big wide open. I'm more grateful. Maybe I just know without the walls I'm more easily seen by the gods, and therefore I don't want to be judged. When it's going to be a dry night, there's nothing like sleeping under the stars. Lay your head in the fresh breeze, staring up, watching the historic moment of when that star burnt up. Search out the satellites racing through the sky, or get lucky enough to see a shooting star before you close your eyes. Wake to the red flames igniting the day. Watch her pop from the sea. Feel her warmth on your face and know you deserve it. Coffee in the sand, wash your face in the sea. It's so very simple, it's here you need to be. Pack up and be sure to leave it just how you found it. Leave no trace, man. Take your rubbish in a bag and throw it in a bin. Sometimes I'm back home by 10 AM, but that one night always feels like a small break. I can remember almost all of them. I can't really remember many nights I sat in staring at a TV screen, for they all blur together as one. Nights under the open skies, however, that's quite a different story. I remember the sunsets and sunrises, more vividly. I remember the red deer rutting on Dartmoor at midnight. I remember the fox's echoing cry from deep in Thetford Forest. I will never forget the golden eagle that was soaring next to me like a riding buddy far north up in the Highlands of Scotland. I remember the owl watching over my fire, stealing in its warmth, in a woods in Stanbridge when I was a kid. I remember the seals basking under the first rays in the early morning sun at wells next to the sea. I remember being 13, waking up in a jump because the old train we were sleeping on had started up its engines and was rolling out of the yard, and I recount having to hurriedly wake Stan to jump off the carriage before it got up to speed. Scrambling over the 6-foot fences with barbed wire on top, getting my jeans caught right by my nuts, and us both laughing so fucking hard at my predicament, our ribs actually hurt. And in the midst of that childish laughter, sat atop that green wire fence, looking into my pal's smiling eyes and wondering if we would always be great friends, and if life would always be this way.